All right, in this video, we're gonna talk about a way to almost instantly make hundreds to thousands more with Shopify Dropshipping. All right, what's going on? Braden here. So in just a second, we're gonna jump in the computer and I'm gonna detail out a way that both beginners and veterans of Shopify Dropshipping can make hundreds to thousands to even tens of thousands more with their Shopify dropshipping business, literally with this one thing. And this is something that I've been doing from the very beginning. I've only gotten better with over time, and it's something that a lot of dropshipping business owners don't do at all. What we're talking about today is actually called split testing. Some people call it A/B testing, and it's something that pretty much every business owner should do, not just dropshipping business owners, but every business owner out there. But one thing I've seen is that very, very few dropshipping business owners actually do this right. And split testing is what I really work with the Dropship Fortune members on. This is how you can almost instantly increase both the revenue and the profit of your business. I've seen people literally go from losing money and then they go split test the right things, and literally within a week they're profitable. Their business is very profitable, and they've completely turned their business around. So today we're gonna jump on the computer and I'm gonna detail out exactly what split testing is, and then the order in which I think you need to split test certain things, the things that have the most value of you split testing pretty much immediately, and then what you should do even down the line to increase the longevity of your business. But before we jump in the computer and get into it, if you guys could please help the engagement on this video by smashing that like button down below, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely leave a comment down below. I answer all questions within the first hour of the video uploaded, and a lot of my videos actually come from questions asked down in the comment section down below. All right, let's jump in the computer and get into it. All right, so first we're gonna talk about exactly what split testing is and what it means with dropshipping, and then I'm gonna tell you step by step what I would go through and split test first, whether that be with the product, the store, whatever, to give you the most results very quickly. And when I say that this can completely overhaul and boost up a dropshipping business very quickly, I've seen this happen time and time again. My very first dropshipping business, when I first got into dropshipping years ago, I was losing money in the very beginning. I didn't know that there was such thing as a golden winning product. I just went with the brand focus in the beginning. I didn't know you needed to go ahead and do crazy product research, all this years ago when I got into it. So essentially all I was doing kind of by accident was split testing to get the conversion rate of my store up. I got to the point to where I didn't even have winning products on my store. I just had decent products, but I had split tested everything down to a T that my conversion rate was good enough with just okay products that I was profitable. So that's the power you can have with split testing. If you go through and really have a focus on split testing, you'll take an okay store and make it good, and to make a good store, good products, great, and have a lot more money. And beginners can do this. You can do this starting today and within a week have quite a bit of results from it. Beginners can do this. People with already those winning products, winning stores can go ahead and greatly improve their profit margins. So first we're gonna go ahead and talk about exactly what I mean split testing with dropshipping. So split testing or A/B testing is exactly how it sounds. You're essentially taking a test A here, variable A, and testing it against B. So if you remember back to your high school science classes or college science classes, it's just like controls with variables. Whenever you're doing an experiment or a test, you've got your controls in place, your things that never change, and then you're testing the variables. The variables are essentially what we're testing with a split test. So you can think with the science experiment, say you're testing out weight gain with rats. You'd go ahead, maybe you only change one thing with their diet. You're gonna keep everything the same, their sleep the same, their exercise the same, but you might only change the diet. And then another round, you might go ahead and keep the diet the same and change up their sleep. Same thing with dropshipping. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have all our controls be the same, but then we're gonna change just one variable. And that's one thing to keep in mind. A lot of times beginners with split testing make a big mistake by testing multiple things at once. Well, what happens there is one thing might be working well, and you might think that these multiple variables that you're testing are working well, when actually the other variables are not working at all. It's just you tested the things at the same time. So that's one thing to be careful with. I've seen people mess up their split tests and cause a lot more damage than good by doing that. And another thing that proves the point of how important split testing is not only for drop shippers, but digital marketers and business owners as a whole, is just look at like how ClickFunnels or even Facebook ads. There's a split testing function pretty much everywhere. Everywhere that you see in the digital marketing world is essentially preaching split testing because it is so important. So the very first thing that you should go through and test, and essentially test the variables like I just talked about, are your ads. I mean, this is kind of common sense. Now, you're going to want to have split tested things in the very beginning when creating your store, but you're not going to have that data to know what to test it against. And I'll get to that at the end, but in the very beginning, you're going to have a lot of data with your ads. So let's go ahead and say that you have an ad running that's driving a certain amount of traffic over your store. You might even be getting added carts or purchases from it, but you're wanting to go ahead and make sure that you have the best ad possible. One big mistake I see with beginners is that they'll get these well-performing ads running, but they're leaving a lot of money on the table. They could go ahead and split test to see if other ads would work even better with that certain audience. So the very first thing I tell people to go ahead and test is, if you're running an image ad, go ahead and test a couple videos. Or if you're running a video, go ahead and test images. And this is a big debate that I've talked about for a long time, is whether you should go with image ads or video ads. And I've definitely made several videos on that. Essentially, it comes down, do you have a simple product or do you have a complex product? And that's how you should decide whether to start with image ads or video ads. But no matter what you start with, you should go ahead and then test the other type. If you've gone ahead and done an image, go ahead and test an image versus another image, or versus a few. If you've gone ahead and done video versus video, and then once you've tested that, so you now know what the best videos are to run, what the best images are to run, now test your copy. You want to go ahead and keep now your best running image or your best running video the same, because you want to keep all the controls the same, but now go ahead and test a copy A versus copy B. So your actual ad description, go ahead and test those. When you're testing all of this though, like let's say you're testing an image versus an image, you're not going to want to test an image with a copy A versus an image B with a copy B. Now you're going ahead and testing multiple variables at the same time. That's what I'm talking about. You need to go ahead and have all your controls and test one variable at the same time. That way you have the best results possible. So you'd go ahead and test image A versus image B while keeping the copies the same, and then go ahead and test copy A versus copy B while keeping the images the same, if that makes sense. And then you'd want to go ahead and test the exact type of ad itself. So whether you're just running a standard image or video, or whether you're doing carousel ads, then you can even get into testing, your lookalike audiences and all that. But that really gets into the next type of split testing that I like to do, which is with the exact targeting itself. So this is where you can also test this from essentially the very beginning of when you already have some results with your ads, and that can just be even just traffic over. You want to go ahead and test your targeting. And this can have a huge impact right from the start. You could go ahead and start testing this today, and within a day or two, you're gonna have a lot of results from this. So you'd go ahead and test interest A with interest B. You'd go ahead and test the different interest types. So let's say you start with a single interest of sunglasses, and now you'd want to go ahead and split test it versus a single interest of Oakleys or Ray-Bans or a competitor. You can then go ahead and split test versus the different types. So you could do single interest versus a flex targeting, or single interest versus stacking with competitors. You can see how you can get kind of crazy with split testing here, but it is very, very important, and it is all progression. You're gonna have, this is gonna build over time, but when it comes down to the ad and the targeting, this sounds like a lot to split test in the very beginning, but if you're going through and testing right, you're gonna be split testing a lot of this naturally anyway. And then you wanna get to where you're essentially split testing locations. Now, when you're split testing locations, that's not a true split test. That's essentially just getting heavy into horizontal scaling, which is what I talk about all the time. But horizontal scaling is essentially going through and split testing, creating new ads, finding out what ads work and what don't. It's essentially a mass split test in a way. So you'd want to go ahead and do that. So at this point, we've gone ahead and split tested our ads to know the best ad we could have, whether that is an image with a certain copy, a certain type of ad. And now we've even got that, we know that this interest set works best, all of that. So before we even get to lookalike audiences or anything like that, we've already got the best, the most performing ad in itself. And that's very, very important to have. A lot of people skip over this. They'll get a well-performing ad in just initial targeting, and then they won't dive into it even deeper. And you need to go deep with this. You need to split test to find out the most performing ad possible. And this is how you can essentially go from essentially just breaking even. I hear all the time people are like, I'm breaking even, or I'm just above breaking even. And I have them run certain split tests, and their cost per conversion comes way down. Essentially, they are leaving a lot of money on the table, and then they become very, very, very profitable. And it completely can change the game if you split test the right things. If you go ahead and you find the perfect ad to run with targeting and the ad itself, it is really a game changer. So then we've got the product itself, and this is another very, very, very important part of the game that a lot of people skip over, is the pricing of the product. So if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I have a very specific pricing strategy in which I start with my prices on the low end. I actually have a multiplier in which I decide most products how they're priced. You definitely need to check out my pricing strategy video if you haven't seen it, because I detail out how to price certain products based off of what they're priced on AliExpress. And it's a great starting place because a lot of people don't know how to price their products. They price it just $1 or $2 even too expensive, and then they miss a winning product because they're running ads to this product and the marketplace just deems it too expensive, and now they've essentially missed a winning product. So once you find that you've got a decent winning product, a product that's actually selling, then you're going to want to go ahead and split test to find the max price. And I detail all of that out in my pricing strategy video, how to go ahead and find the max price. But that's really the next split test you'll do. You'll go ahead and split test to find the best price, and you're essentially looking at changes in conversion rate based off of your traffic, add to carts, all of that. That's all explained in the other video, but that is a very, very important thing to do, and that is a game changer too. If you're having 100 orders a day and you're making, say, $5 on a product, now you're having $95 a day, but you're making $7 on the product. That's a big difference. So definitely go ahead, check out that video if you haven't seen it. That's a big one for you guys. Then you'd want to go ahead and A/B test, split test the copy of the product. Say you've got a certain product description, based off of your conversion rate, the past data on your store, you'd want to go ahead and see if you could beef up the copy, see if you can make your product description even better. Even testing, certain reviews or images that you have for that product. Go ahead and test that, and you're wanting to look for fluctuations with your conversion rates. Another big one to test, and this is one that I actually tested in the very beginning more on accident, is apps. And I have split tested tons and tons and tons of apps out there. And split testing apps is actually something I love to do. I've now got a very set in stone kind of groupings of apps that I like to use, and it's based off of me having split tested tons of apps to see which ones really, really, really perform on stores. And this is how I found out that certain pop-ups can completely kill a store's conversion rate. Some can even help. I mean, this is where you'd want to go ahead and essentially split test apps. Now, when you do this, you want to go ahead and add or take away essentially one app at a time. Because if you're going ahead and you're trying to add a bunch of apps to a store at one time, it's going to change the conversion rate, and you're not going to know which one had essentially the greatest impact. Whereas if you go ahead and add an app at a time or take away an app at a time, you're going to know the change was essentially just for that app. So definitely do this while keeping all controls and only changing a variable, just like we talked about. And that really gets into the final points here, is you want to go ahead and you need to have consistency. You need to either have consistency with your ads with an amount of traffic you're getting, amount of link clicks, amount of added carts and purchases. You need to have, somewhat of a consistent conversion rate. You're not going to want to go ahead and on day 2 really try to go ahead and split test a bunch of things, because you're not going to know essentially your data to go ahead and test it against. You're going to need to have, a certain amount of set in stone, consistent data to test against. And, good example here would be if you've got an ad, you're not going to want to go ahead and start a brand new ad for a new product that you're testing, and then on day 2, completely start new ads, split testing, copy with that. I mean, you could do that if you're wanting to go ahead and really exhaust that product really quick. But if you are really just in the testing phase of products, that you're probably going to spend too much money for that product. You could find out with other methods, other product testing methods, whether that product works or not. Essentially, you want to go ahead and find that the product at least has potential or is at least selling, and then you go ahead and start your split testing. The whole point here is make sure you start with consistency with, somewhat of a consistent conversion rate or a certain amount of data set that you can actually run it against. Really what you're looking for is anything you're split testing on your store, from product descriptions to apps, anything on your store itself, you're really looking at a change in conversion rate, whereas anything with the ad itself, you're looking at the exact ad data, really the cost per conversion, all of that. So then when you're actually running the split tests themselves, you want to go ahead and let them run for a few days. I see a lot of times people will go ahead and run a split test for like a day or two. And sometimes with ads, you're going to run them for a lot shorter amount of time, but something like adding an app or a change with your store itself, the change in conversion rate is typically going to be a lot smaller than essentially a change in cost per conversion with an ad. You're going to want to run that for, you say, a week, 2 weeks even, to really have that data set in stone to know that that app really caused that difference, and that A/B test is really locked in stone of a clear winner. Sometimes with ads, it could be only a couple days. So just keep that in mind. You're going to want to run your A/B tests for a certain amount of time to really have that set in stone. If you have certain funnels set in place, if you have a single product store and you run it with ClickFunnels, or you have certain funnels in place, you want to go ahead and run it for an amount of time that funnel A works better than funnel B, or vice versa. And so that's the whole point here. The whole point of this game, though, is that you need to go ahead and be split testing pretty much everything. Once you find out something is working, split test it to see if you can make it work even better. You're wanting to not leave any money on the table, and I guarantee you most of you out there are leaving some money on the table. If you're making some money with drop shipping, or you have any sales coming in, I guarantee you that you can make more money if you go through and split test all your variables. And this does take work, but it is all progression. You can spend literally weeks, months doing split tests for your products in your store, but it is worth it. This is something that I continue to work on. I'm always split testing something, if not multiple things. So definitely go ahead, start split testing. I would start at the ad level, then go directly from the ad type to the targeting, and then really start split testing everything with your store. When you start split testing everything with your store, you definitely want some consistency by that point. Have a good starting place with your store, good foundation to start with, and really start getting sales, and then you can really start split testing everything with your store. But split testing is something that regardless of the business type that you have, you should always be doing for the lifetime of the business. But I hope you guys found some value in this video. This is definitely a very, very important topic, and I could go into this for hours. I mean, this is literally what I work with many people on, because split testing is where most people are leaving the most amount of money on the table because they're not actually doing it at all. Or if they're doing it, they're not doing it right, or they haven't split tested the most important things. So this is a good starting place for you guys. If you like this video, please go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely leave any questions you have down in the comments below. Let me know if you have any video ideas. I'll love to go and do a video for you guys. But keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.